With the primary behind them, the two candidates running for Knox County mayor are on the campaign trail once again. Leading up to the August general election, those two candidates are each out once again talking to voters and sharing their vision. Earlier, we spoke with Democrat Bo Hawk about his vision. Well, today, Republican Betsy Henderson paid a visit to our podcast studio for a wide-ranging conversation about her vision. It includes everything from pledging not to increase taxes to her stance on data centers. Here's that conversation. Betsy Henderson, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Robin.
The primary is behind you. Well, we love having you, and we really want to dive into how the campaign is going now that the primary is over, and we've got the general coming up.
Yes. A whole new campaign.
What does that look like? What does it look like on a daily basis for you in campaigning?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, the primary is behind us, and I'm still so grateful and excited that we won the primary. So now we are in the second hurdle of this campaign. So with the primary, we had 18 months, 12 months to get things done. Door knocking, phone calls, fundraisers, meet and greets. So you had a longer time period. This time we have 2 months to get everything done and get our message out to the voters. But it's been great. It's been exciting, and it has been busy, but a good busy, I would say.
Absolutely. So are you doing the door knocking still, and the calls and all that goes into it?
So all the things, with the primary, I'm really proud of our team. Our team worked really hard, and, we were outspent 5-1 in the primary. And so we knew that this was going to be a grassroots campaign. We knew that the primary was going to be won at the doors, and I loved having those conversations. We knocked on over 25,000 doors for the primary. Mm-hmm. I think I'm on tennis shoe count number 3 with as many doors as we knocked. And so I loved having those conversations and talking to voters at the doors. And, same thing, we have already started door knocking for the general, making phone calls. We've already done several events. We have some coming up at the end of the month. And so we are doing all the things that we've done in the primary, just in that condensed time period.
Let's talk about what those people who are opening the door to you and those people who are picking up the phone to talk to you, what are their top 3 concerns? Yeah,
no, absolutely. So, in the 25,000 doors that we knocked in the primary, and we're hearing it again, with the general election, the top 3 priorities, the top 3 concerns are keeping taxes low. We know that families are strapped from the grocery store to the gas pump. And, it's hard. It's hard, Robin. Families are struggling. So keeping taxes low, growth across the county, making sure that we are growing in a responsible, smart way, and just preserving what we love about living here in Knox County.
Let's talk about your stance when it comes to taxes. You have pledged on your website.
Yes.
You have actually written out your name.
There is an actual pledge. Yeah, there should have brought it with me today.
Bo Hawk, who you will be facing in the general, the Democrat, I asked him his stance on that. He agrees with you in that people are strapped. They cannot shoulder more. When I asked him about pledging, he said he would not pledge, but he does agree with you in that. When I looked at your website, the Crossroads Plan, you state you want a lean budget. Yes. Current mayor, Glenn Jacobs, says the budget he just put forth is a lean budget. Do you think it could get any leaner?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So this is something, that I campaigned on, but also believe in as well, because it is something that we hear at the doors from Farragut to Gibbs and the Carter community and everywhere in between. And I have made a pledge to not increase taxes. I think that Mayor Jacobs has done a fabulous job. And our previous mayors as well have done a great job. Our budget has increased since 1999. It increased $30 million a year. because of responsible spending and that natural growth piece as well. So Mayor Jacobs has done a fabulous job. And he's also done a great job of setting us up for the future in saving money, making sure that we are being responsible. But with any large organization, with any small business, I'm the daughter of 2 small business owners, in any business, in every family, we can always look for additional ways to save and cut, but also streamlining government, making it more efficient for communities and the people of Knox County. So that's another way I think we can be more efficient as well. With the school system, for example, this year, we, in the budget, it is budget season. We just voted on the school budget. Knox County, the county commission is currently going through their budget process as well. With the school system, we have a $17 million increase this year. But with the things that we want to do, we are making more cuts at central office. We are looking at more ways to save. We are taking that $17 million and stretching it to make it a $24 million investment, a lot of that in the classroom. So we're being very creative at the school level, and so I think we can do that definitely at the county level as well.
What are some other places, though, that you see can be trimmed that would be substantive?
Right.
To deal with what is currently $1 billion budget that would help and offset.
Right. So, currently the budget is $1.1 billion that will increase, for this next upcoming year. And where I'm excited. So, whoever when I'm the next Knox County mayor, you do have a year to work with Mayor Jacobs' budget, which is nice. So it kind of gives you that time to get acclimated. But I'm very excited. I have said during the primary that we are going to put together a STAR commission, which is a commission of local business owners, local community leaders that are going to start diving into that budget. We've already started that work and kind of done that preliminary looking into the budget. So I'm excited about the work that we're going to do in that. So there will be more specifics coming out, but some things just right off the top. I was a driving force to getting rid of taxpayer lobbyists at the school system, which saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we are doing a great job at the school system in advocating for what we want at the state level. Looking into those nonprofits, that's millions of dollars that are going to nonprofits, and talking to them and seeing what that return on investment is, and diving into that. And just some cuts like that they start adding up.
What some of the nonprofits? Which ones are you?
I don't know specifically. I'm going to start looking into those as we go further along.
Okay. The way it's been explained to me about the budget, if you will, of Knox County, it's $1.1 billion. Let's say that's $1. 70% of that, roughly 70 cents, going to schools.
Goes to schools. Correct.
10%. To the sheriff's department. Then there's a portion of it that goes to parks and roads and any
all the services.
Exactly, the services. That in the end would leave, if you are elected mayor, roughly 7 cents on a dollar for you to put toward what you think is important. What do you prioritize? What would you prioritize?
Right. So I love this question. This is a great question because, if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So it really comes down to prioritizing those core services. From the doors that I've knocked on and the people that I talk to in the community, those services include good roads, good schools, safe neighborhoods. So, you have the majority of the budget going to the school system. A big chunk goes to the sheriff's office in that department. And so that leaves you with the rest of to work with. And so, one thing that we really need to be focusing on in that is roads. One thing that I hear is, I have a new driver myself, Robin. We were talking about, our families before this. My son is 17. My daughter is 15. So she will be a new driver soon. And just making sure that we are prioritizing our roads and our infrastructure, because we've seen a deficit in that. We are growing. We have a lot of houses popping up, but we do need to start focusing on our roads. So it really comes down to prioritizing those core services.
You mentioned this, that you will have a year to work with Glenn Jacobs' budget. One thing that during his administration he has supported is the Advance Knox proposal, if you will, which basically addresses growth infrastructure. When I talked to him recently and asked about, you have come out and said you don't support Advanced Knox. I asked
Correct.
him, what are his thoughts on that? He said, well, if she is elected, it is up to her to decide whether to push forward with it or not. Will you push forward with Advanced Knox or will you not?
That's a great question. So just a little bit of background about, the Advanced Knox plan and my pushback on that plan. So as school board chair, so I served as school board chair for 2 years. And as school board chair, I had a seat, on that committee for Advanced Knox. And the purpose of that committee was to vote that plan up or down. That plan then went to county commission, city council in the town of Farragut to be voted on. I was one of 2 no votes on that plan for 2 reasons. It put 9,000 acres of rural farmland and rural lands into the growth plan. And also, I don't feel like that draft had community buy-in. We heard from farmers to home builders. And I say, when you have farmers and home builders on the same page, that's a red flag. Like, wait a minute, something's going on. So, we do have the Advanced Knox plan currently. I know that they are working on, like I like to say, the meat and potatoes of that plan. What does that day-to-day work look like now as we grow? I do believe we need a plan. Knox County needs a plan so that we are in charge and we are in control of what Knoxville and Knox County looks like for the future. But that is something that I look forward to diving into a little bit more because I do have hesitations. And really it comes down to that community, that intentional community input.
Let's talk more, Ben, then about your plan. If you were to be elected once again and you are like, okay, we do have to recognize that we're growing. We have to create an environment in which it can grow responsibly. What would your plan be to make that happen then?
Yeah, so we are, as we move into the general, I'm having more conversations with a lot of community leaders, community members about this because we know we're growing. It is a blessing that people want to come here. They found out the secret of Knox County, because we have low taxes. It's a great place to raise a family, to work, to have a business. And so I'm having a lot of those conversations right now. So we know we're growing, but we also cannot put strain on our community. Right now, the way that we are growing is very much in an urban sprawl kind of way. Where I live, like I said before, we have hundreds and thousands of houses popping up everywhere. And a key piece of that is making sure that we are prioritizing our roads. We've got to start recognizing that our roads
because we're woefully behind.
We are behind, and our roads cannot support the growth that we are seeing. And growing in a way that really preserves the character of our community. Does this development make sense here in my backyard? So really it's not easy work. It's definitely not easy. It's going to be hard conversations. But then also bringing everybody to the table. Like I said before with Advanced Knox, one of my issues with it was I don't feel like that plan had intentional community input. And I use the word intentional. They had community input. I went to some of those meetings and I said, oh, can we ask questions? They're like, oh, no, just put your sticky dots on this poster board. And they already had things already planned out. So really that piece for me is making sure that we have intentional community input.
So would you open up the forum, open up the meetings for that dialogue then?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's talk about something that is, quite frankly, a big talker these days. Data centers. You're seeing a lot of pushback in communities around the country. Exactly.
Yes.
Where do you stand on data centers?
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. This is an issue that we are seeing nationally. I've been following this, and we see it in communities all across our country. And I'm hearing, in our backyard from Knox, community members in Knox County, I hear about this. And, I don't think that we need these. So we have these data centers and they're these massive structures and they are using so much water. They are using so much electricity. They are noisy. And so I don't think that they need to be in our community. They don't need to be in our backyard.
But where do they go?
That's a great question. Is the question. That's a great, not in our backyard.
Let's face it.
Put them somewhere else.
If we want these, if we want AI, we have to have data centers. And I guess that is the question. I think we as individuals and as communities have to
no one wants
reckon.
them in their community.
You don't want them in your backyard, but we want our phones.
Yeah, we do want our phones, and our phones, AI, there is a space to use AI for sure. But, as mayor of Knox County, I represent the views of Knox County and the community, and I commend Commissioner Fox. He came out almost a year ago working on this, and he currently has a resolution that's coming to county commission to put a moratorium on this. And so I fully support that. And now what you're seeing is other people coming on board as well. So this is an issue, and it is an issue that Republicans and Democrats you see coming out on this. And so I think that we have to have a conversation, but I'm against having these in our backyard.
Let's talk about schools. As we mentioned, about 70 cents on the dollar goes toward Knox County schools. Is that enough?
That is a question that I have been asked the past 6 years. Yes, we do have enough money for schools. So I have served on the school board for the past 6 years. 2 of those I was chair. Right. Our current budget for Knox County is over $700 million, which I think is more than enough money to do what we need to do, provide good programming.
Infrastructure? Schools, the physical schools.
Yes, the physical buildings. We are blessed to have an amazing superintendent, Dr. John Reiswig, and he is a good steward of the budget and of the money. And I think we have more than enough money. What we've been doing is streamlining programs. We've been putting money back into the classroom. Over the last 2 years, when I served as school board chair, we really took a hard look at the budget. We had cut over 50 positions at central office and put that back into historic investments for our teachers and back in that classroom. And we've really gotten the focus back on literacy, math, back on the basics. Our literacy scores have increased by 10% over the past 4 years. And so, yes, I think we have more than enough money at the school system.
What are your thoughts? Because I think this is not just a state problem, but a national problem. The number of students enrolled in public schools is declining.
That we see a decline in that. Yeah.
How do we reckon with that?
So, I think that there is a space for different education opportunities for children. I am a true believer in school choice.
Yes, I think because you were quite vocal when it came to school vouchers.
Yes. And so, I've run 2 campaigns for, my school board. I was elected to the school board in 2020 and then re-election again in 22. And this was an issue that I ran on. This is an issue that I won on twice. And so I do believe in school choice. I think that parents should be in the driver's seat of their children's education. And I think that there's lots of different opportunities. Every child learns differently. Just anecdotally, I have friends who have multiple children. Some of their children go to public school. Some of their children go to private school in the same family because their children are different. They have different needs. And so just in those families, their children go to different schools based on those needs. And so, we do see a decline, but not such a decline that is really hurting our public schools. I'm glad that there are other options for families, but it also helps the public schools pause and say, are we competing? Are we doing what's best for children? And so it really helps us to compete. I believe in free markets when it comes to business, and I believe in that in education as well. And I think that public school works for 95% of children. My own children go to public schools. My sister is a teacher. My mother-in-law was a public school teacher, and so I'm an advocate of public schools. I think we are blessed to have amazing public schools here, but I think there's a space for different educational opportunities for families.
As a sitting school board member, a situation that arose just recently, given a new state law, it is put upon school districts to look at books. And if there are flags that go up concerning a litany of things, sex, violence, a request can be made to pull a book. And most recently,
Correct.
That decision was made to pull Roots, a highly acclaimed historical novel from Alex Haley, who lived in East Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly.
But the decision by Superintendent Ryswick was to put that book back. Now, of course, there was a lot of uproar. You came out and stated that it should be put back on the shelves.
Correct.
That being said, this is based on a state law. Should there be more clarity with the state law to give guidance so that books are addressed broader and wider, as opposed to, okay, this is stated in here and this is stated in here and therefore it needs to go?
So I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So we had our school board meetings. I think it was last week. We had our meetings, and it is so funny, Robin, because when summer, when we're done with graduation season, I don't know why I keep saying this. I've been on the school board for 6 years. I think, it's summer. Our school board meetings are probably going to be pretty light for the months of June and July and August. They never are. No, but I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So, we did have the book Roots pulled from the library, and so I am appreciative that Dr. Ryswick had reinstated that book back into our schools. So let's go back to the state law. So when I was first elected to the school board in 2020, this was an issue that I was dealing with fairly often. Books that were in our libraries that were pornographic. And so, and they shouldn't have been in any of our schools. So, I was grateful we had a law, but that law didn't have any teeth. So that went back, 20 to 22. In 2024, the state decided to put more teeth in these laws. So I'm very appreciative of that. I worked with our state delegation, so I'm appreciative of the laws that we have. I believe in the law that we currently have. When it comes to Roots, I think it was an overreach at the school system at this level. And so I am thankful that that book is back in our libraries. But when I can Google, when a parent comes to me with a book that is pornographic and I'm Googling that book to see what this book is, and I can't see the images come up, or they email me that book and my Knox County government email flags it and I can't see that.
How often has that happened?
Oh, it was pretty often, Robin. It was like a game of whack-a-mole. I would take care of some of these books and then 5 more would pop up in our libraries. And so when I can't see those images as a 47-year-old woman getting these emails from a parent, they should not be in our libraries. So I am thankful for that law. I believe in that law. I think that this was an overreach. And so I am grateful for the decision to put it back in our school libraries.
But would you like to see at a state level more clarity to prevent something like this from happening again?
I honestly think it is clear. I just honestly think that this was an overreach.
Okay. Let's talk about just the state in which we live, and not meaning Tennessee, but just the state of affairs in which we live. And it's obvious. We live in divided times.
Yes.
If you are elected Knox County mayor, you are going to have to work with people who, number one, did not vote for you. Number two, do not necessarily agree with you. But how do you work with people who don't see eye to eye with you? Because that is essential to move forward, to work together. Right.
In the day-to-days of governing.
Exactly.
Yes. So, I've been blessed to be on the school board for the past 6 years. And so I've been doing this for the past 6 years. I have folks that don't agree with me on certain issues. And, I always say, listen, let's have a conversation. I'm happy to sit down with you and have a conversation about why I believe in this issue, why I voted a particular way. We may disagree, but let's agree to disagree. And you'll always know where I stand. I'll always stand to principles, my morals and values, and I will always stand up for those. But I'll always have those conversations and let people know, hey, this is why I believe in this. But we do have to have those respectful conversations. We were talking about it before. Some people, especially with social media, some people can be pretty mean on social media. I've seen some things about myself. But just reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. But I'll always stand up for my principles and values. And just, locally, we have to get stuff done. You have to work with the city. I know the city has different viewpoints than the county, but we can still come together and get stuff done for the good of the community.
Final question. Why should people vote for Betsy Henderson for Knox County Mayor?
Yeah. Well, I'd be humbled to have everyone's vote on August 6th. It's funny, just real quick. So when I won the primary, I had people say, "Oh, I'm so excited you're now the mayor." I said, "No, you have to come back out in August to vote for me." Or, "I'm so excited to vote for you in November." I'm like, "No, you have to come in August. But I am so excited for this opportunity. I'm excited to serve as hopefully the next Knox County mayor, to keep taxes low, to get government out of the way so businesses and families can truly thrive.
Okay, I lied. I have another question because based on that,
that's okay.
Engagement. Is our community engaged? Are they aware of the things and the decisions and the people making these decisions that impact their daily lives?
I am so glad that you had this question. So I'm glad this popped in your head. I think we are seeing more people get engaged, and I love that. Is it something we have to work on? Absolutely. I would love to see more people get engaged. I would love to see younger people get engaged. One thing that I've been doing in the primary and in the general is talking to that young professional crowd to make sure that they're getting more engaged in their community. I think, Robin, people are realizing that local matters. For so long, we've paid attention to national politics, which is important. We should be paying attention to that. But local is what affects your roads, your schools. It affects your neighborhoods. And so I think that people are getting more engaged, but we definitely need to grow that for sure.
We will leave it at that. Betsy Henderson, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today, Robin. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that is our conversation with Betsy Henderson. If you would like to hear from Bo Hawk, the Democrat, and his vision for Knox County, you can find that conversation right here on the WBIR app and also on the WBIR YouTube channel. And coming up next on WBIR, you can find the latest news and all things East Tennessee. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.